Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Corn has long played an important role as a feed source for cattle. Today, we'll discuss some of the challenges and opportunities ahead for both corn growers and cattle producers, and how they're working together to ensure a sustainable future.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Without a doubt, corn is the most popular grain used in beef cattle diets throughout the United States, and many people make a living growing both corn and cattle on their operations. So for farmers and ranchers across the nation, it's critical that both industries remain strong and sustainable for years to come. We're joined by a great panel of experts who will share their insights on these topics. First is Bruce Cobb. He's the Executive Vice President of Production for Certified Angus Beef. Bruce and CAB are our hosts today at their beautiful facility here in Wooster, Ohio. Alongside Bruce is John Linder. He's a fifth-generation farmer from Ohio who also serves as the president of the National Corn Growers Association. Also joining us is Brandon Hunnicutt. He's a Nebraska farmer who also sits on the corn board of the National Corn Growers Association. Next is Ben Klick, a fifth-generation Ohio farmer who raises both corn and beef cattle on his family operation, and he serves as the vice president of the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association. And our final panelist is NCBA President-elect Don Schiefelbein. Don runs a large diversified farming and cattle operation along with his family in Minnesota. John, I want to start with you, and just as an overview, tell us the deep and long-term relationship between the beef cattle industry and corn industry.
You know, it's such a pleasure to be here, and I like that question because, you know, for me, there is history with beef. I don't have any cattle on the farm now, but as a kid, Dad did, and can recall being drugged by a 4-H steer. So, you know, there's a close tie. But, you know, it really goes deep in the corn because we realize livestock is our number one market for our product. So we give consideration to that quite heavily. We really appreciate our consumers. And having cattle on feed consuming 1.2 billion bushels of corn means a great deal to me and means a great deal to the farmers that I represent on the corn growers. So there is a lot of value and a lot of recognition to that. Probably around 1 out of every 4 bushels of corn receives its increased value to the farm gate for beef, and it's around $5.7 billion in real value to the corn farmers. So that's a big number, and that's a great deal of appreciation back to you all for doing such a good job.
Absolutely. And Ben, there is a performance advantage too when it comes to feeding corn to cattle. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, corn is a very high energy feed. It's very palatable. The cattle really enjoy eating it. And when it comes to feeding corn, you obviously increase your rate of gain, which helps us get more cattle in and growing faster and out faster, which obviously helps the sustainability aspect of things. So
yeah. And we talk a lot about U.S. corn-fed beef, or maybe Nebraska corn-fed beef. You all are popular for that as well. But Ben, as a cattle producer yourself, can people truly taste and detect the difference in beef that is finished through corn, by using corn?
Yeah, not only taste, but they can see it, plain as day. They go to the grocery store and they go into the Certified Angus section at a Giant Eagle or something here in Northeast Ohio, and they pick up that steak and they take it home. You can see the marbling throughout, the different cuts, and then, it obviously comes down to the tenderness when they put it on the grill and they sit there in their dinner plate and eat it. It's plain as day. So.
And Don, you've spent your life as a cattle breeder, as an Angus cattle breeder, focused on that taste fat as opposed to waste fat. What role does marbling play in the eating experience of a beef consumer?
Well, it's huge, especially on the world stage where our differentiating factor is corn-fed flavored beef. And so it is a huge impact on the world stage.
So for corn growers, John, I'm curious, how much do you think about beef cattle production and beef producers as you're making your management and production system decisions on your farm?
We're always concerned about the viability of our markets, and I feel like the cattlemen do such a good job that it's really not been something that we think is ever going to be waning or ever be gone, because we like to throw that piece of meat on the grill as well, so we really enjoy it. But raising a really good quality corn product so that it produces the most benefit in whatever market it goes into is a critical consideration. You know, if we want to bring the most return to the farm, we have to do a really good job, and to raise it sustainably plays into the economics. But I think that brings such a benefit throughout our value chain as well. So it's a lot of consideration on our end when we think about where will our corn go, where will we market our corn, and how does it end up. I love to tell this story. So many folks are surprised when I say this. You know, they know I sell corn to an ethanol plant. They know I sell corn to different feed mills and the likes, but they're so surprised when I say, every bushel of corn that we raise on our family farm, every kernel that leaves that farm ends up in feed at some point. They said, but you sell to ethanol, co-products, right? And DDGs. So I can proudly state that. So it is always on our mind where our product ends up.
Yeah, that's really reassuring. Brandon, you've read the same articles I have and seen the similar documentaries of the folks who would claim that we shouldn't actually be feeding corn to cattle, that that's a waste. We should be feed grains to people, to feed the starving millions across the world. What do you say to people who say we should not be using corn to feed livestock?
You know, I think one of the first things we need to realize is that as a corn producer, my goal is to make sure that everybody gets fed, you know, whether it's through the beginning source of taking that corn and turning it into something as simple as cornflakes, or more importantly, turning it into a high quality protein like beef. And what we're doing is we're changing the energy from the corn and turning it into a high quality protein. And that's very important, that if we're looking to feed people, we need to make sure they have a high quality protein source. Again, therefore, corn to cattle to the dinner plate as a good quality steak or good quality hamburger.
And you all here at Certified Angus Beef have spent the last 40 years focusing on that quality product, haven't you?
Absolutely. You know, you think about, we've commented several times here about cattle enjoy corn, people enjoy great steaks. Mm-hmm. Let's give the cattle what they want. They want some good corn. Yeah. Have you ever been to a good feed yard in the middle of October, November, and early in the morning, those cornflakes smell pretty good, right?
That's true. That's exactly right. Well, and that's fantastic. John, do you have anything else to add relative to Brandon's comment in terms of why we should be utilizing corn to feed livestock?
It's abundant. You know, it's something that we do produce really well here in the United States. We're the #1 producer of corn in the world, and no one can compete with us on that level. So to say that we can't supply that market would be incorrect. To say that it's the incorrect use for that product would be incorrect, because there are so many uses for corn, and quality feed is certainly going to be one that's top of mind.
Fantastic. When we come back, we will dive into the sustainability of both beef and corn production and have our experts share some of their thoughts on this important topic. Stay with us. We've got a lot more to cover when we return.
When the field is your office, you never get tired of going to work. Cut, rake, bale, repeat. New Holland offers the power and versatility to get through the day. From small squares to large squares and everything in between, New Holland has you covered. Visit your local dealer today to find out more. New Holland.
From the very beginning, Ritchie has been dedicated to one thing: helping people deliver fresh, constant water to their animals. Today's Ritchie waterers rely on a valve design that remains much the same as it was in 1921. It's a simple idea: do it right, and the rest will take care of itself. We never set out to create a company that would be around for 100 years. We just wanted to create something great.